Good Monday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the Monday Market Monitor. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, across Central Virginia, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network, and the Monday Market Monitor presented by brands that you can trust and count on. The Monday Market Monitor, of course, with Yes Realty Partners, proud partners of this show, Allied Property Management, 72 rentals in the Allied Property Management portfolio, and Closure Title and Settlement Company. Get ready to get to know Closure Title and Settlement Company. Of course, we're powered by Segura Solar. Judah Wickhauer is our director. Keith Smith, our executive producer, and two phenomenal people in the set chairs with us, and Karla Waycaster and Suzanne Riehl. Judah, the four-shot if you could. Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Doing
Morning.
good. Great.
It's nice to have you guys.
And casting director. I think I've got that title too. Casting
That's awesome.
director. As you can tell, I did a really good job on casting here. Suzanne, when you were on the show last time, you were only at 40, right? So you almost
Maybe
doubled.
upper 40s, but
You
we
had
have
48.
really nailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a
Nearly
short period of time.
In Keith math, we'll just say that's doubled. That's
There you go.
So
Sounds
must
good. I'll
be
take it.
It
I'll
must
take
have
it.
something to do with this awesome show that we do a couple of times
Definitely
a
some help.
week.
Yes.
So we normally kick off with the flip book. So we're going to start with Suzanne. So give us your flip book of you, the 4 or 5 people who do not know you, and what you're all about, and a little bit about Ally.
Yes, well, Allied Property Management is very proud to be a sponsor of this show. We are glad to be here represented this morning, and we are alive and well in Charlottesville, Virginia. We have 72 properties, and it's grown pretty exponentially because so many realtors in the Keller Williams office have just sent their owners to us, their
It's a nice
investment
funnel.
owners. And it is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, one particular owner just sent all of his 11 properties to us. So it
Can I ask
was
who that
an
is?
opportunity.
You want to keep that on the DL?
Maybe.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe
Okay.
DL. Well, let's put it.
I have an idea who that is.
You probably
Let's put
do.
it this way:
Names
they
down.
outbeat us. So Yona and I need to up.
You have one.
We
They
got
have 11.
We got to up
They
our
beat you
game.
by a lot.
That's
A lot more.
That's this many, right? That's
Yes.
this many.
It's a Keith math.
Yeah, that's Keith math right there.
Well, if that was Keith math, then it'd be this. But anything by 3% is what Keith math can understand. Karla, introduce yourself to the world.
I am Karla Waycaster. I'm the operating manager at Closure Title and Settlement Company. We've been in business since 2007 and continue to grow. Great staff, great people, work well in lots of different areas here in Charlottesville, surrounding counties, and it's been a great year. We've loved it.
So pre-show, I've noticed your name, you have a hayslip in the middle of it, and you're connected to the Fulvana hayslips, which I'm not related to, but I know very well. I know Jeff Hayslip, who's Fulvana County's Commonwealth's attorney, is a dear friend of ours, so it's just really funny how everybody's kind of interconnected, or at least know each other in this,
Absolutely.
in this community. So talk about Closure. Talk about, what your process is like, and who, what, when, and where, how you got started, and how the real estate agents that are watching, you can help them with their transactions.
Absolutely. Well, first, I think the biggest thing that kind of sets us apart is the communication that we have. We can basically adapt that to the people that want phone conversations, all the way to the tech-savvy people who wish to use our app. We have an app that will keep you up to date on closing transactions, and it seems to work really well. Gives a lot of people a lot of great information about the course of their transaction. And then probably more and most important are my staff. They're just great people, great work ethic, care about the transactions. We've worked with so many different realtors in the area, and they just work well and build relationships with people, and it's a great atmosphere.
How'd you manage the pandemic?
Well, it kind of
guess
it
we're
taught
still
us
in
a
it.
lot, yeah.
Yeah.
But it taught us a lot. I never would have thought that remotely working on these types of transactions could even work. But it really has opened my eyes to the ability to be able to do those things. Technology was super huge for that, and we've kind of embraced a lot of that, and it's worked really well. We've had some issues with different people and communicating outside, but that's all come together when we just use the technology that's available to us and the people and how we all work together.
So
Very nice.
How many in-person closings are you doing now versus 100% remote?
Well, we're still at around 90% in person.
In person.
Yeah. We do some remote transactions, and that's worked well. Although we're getting used to that type of thing more so, but a majority of our folks come into the office to sign closing papers.
So that phone that just rang for Suzanne was number
73.
74?
One after 72.
73?
Yeah.
Well, who knows? It could be more than just one, which means I've got to up my game a little bit on
You are
this.
welcome to do that.
Mrs. Smith will be talking about buying more investment property here shortly. But tell us, Suzanne, what makes you, there's one thing that makes you a little different as far as the property management. There's a lot of real estate companies watching, and some other property management companies tend to hold on to the client. So let's talk a little bit about that, on how that if I bring you a rental property, that we get that client back. That's an important thing that you guys do that is different than some of the other ones. Or if you're uncomfortable with that, that's fine. But
Oh, no, absolutely.
I think that's an
happy-
important thing to talk about.
Happy to address that, because if a realtor brings us their client, and we have many folks, particularly right now, who have had their home on the market and it's not selling, and so we're sort of leaning both directions, and whoever brings the right person. So, for instance, if I bring a renter, then they take the house off the market, and we move forward. But what we do for that realtor is that we always return that client to them. If the owner goes back 2 or 3 years later and decides they want to sell, then we make sure that realtor gets their client
That's
back.
an important note to take note to, because as real estate agents, sometimes you're a little reluctant to go ahead and do that. And I know we've referred a bunch of work to you from different agencies to go ahead and do that. I'm probably going to ask an uncomfortable question, right?
I love when it starts that way. Yeah. It's what you don't do at broadcasting.
I've only been doing this 2.5
Yeah.
years. He's still teaching me.
Yeah.
Right.
But look, next year it's supposed to raise rental race rate 7.1%, according to Realtor.com.
Yours are going up? And the contract 7%?
No.
You're saying nationally on average is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
Okay.
the question that is exactly what I was going to ask. What do
You're
you
saying
see
the
in this?
rent is
What do
going
you
up.
see in this market for next year as far as rental rates?
No, I think that we are, every time we renew, we raise considerably to meet the market. And a lot of times we start high when we price something and see how it bears the market. And I can tell you, almost every time we set it high, and there's still folks out there, almost to a point of a bidding war for rentals.
For rentals.
And that is something
Wow.
that's very different. Toward the end and the third quarter, even Virginia rates are saying that just like the bidding wars for property purchases, the rentals are almost getting to that point. I've had one of those already this year, where we actually were raising the rent to determine who was going to be
Wow. And what kind of
The tenant.
increments?
$50.
$50 a month?
Yes.
That adds up.
Yes.
That's substantial. And the winning tenant was the tenant that was willing to pay the most, or the tenant with the best overall profile, including credit score?
Well, that's the first criteria, but
Okay.
we had in this one particular bidding war, there were 3 potential tenants. They all had great credit scores, in the 700s.
So they were equal minus what they were willing to pay.
That's right.
Good.
And so
goodness.
we just said, give us your best price.
Fantastic.
I've been
Good for the
doing
owner.
this since 1987. That's the first time I've ever heard that.
What do you attribute that to? And then we'll get you in the mix here, Karla, as well. Do you attribute that to just having a lack of rooftop inventory,
Yes.
owned and rental?
Absolutely.
That's that is just flabbergasting, and it's also a sign of a very healthy economy in that people want to live here. Are you, Karla, with your business, are you seeing the market recovering well as we head into Q1? Are you bullish on next year?
Well, I look at things, understanding that the settlement side is about 45 days after contract.
Sure.
Generally. So we're a little behind that curve as far as it goes, but it's one of those things that if you can say a normal market where you have the seasonal ups and downs, I think we're seeing a little bit of that, where, it kind of slows off a little bit, still very busy, but slows off a little bit in those winter months, and then
You need stuff to
comes right
sell,
back.
just like he needs stuff to sell to make money. That's what it's all tied to.
Correct.
Well, yes, so we have the food chain of housing here. The
supply chain.
Supply chain, thank you, sitting at the table. See, it just keeps me straight all the time. But look, thank you for doing that, Jerry, because that was where I wanted to go next. Of everybody sitting at this table, you see the most transactions, right, happening on multiple days. So let's talk about that. What does a normal day look like for you for your shop on transactions? In other words, how many transactions do you guys do?
Well, out of our Charlottesville office, we can have anywhere from 8 to, we've had 13, 14 a day.
Good night.
Yes.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't put them on the set today because we have actual crystal balls, but what is your crystal ball saying for 2022 based on the history that you went through on 2020 and 2021? And are you starting to see the increase in value decrease? Does that make any sense? So in other words, are we starting to see some stabilization in prices from your perspective, or?
Yes, we had gone through that period where we had the foreclosures, and so the sales prices were, falling below assessed values,
Sure.
which was a little tricky. That does not seem to be the problem now. Values are up there. Interest rates are still great, so you've got a lot of buying power out there, I think. So I'm just looking towards that spring market and thinking, okay, let me settle down just a little bit. Let's compose ourselves and get back into that spring market.
So I think the spring market is now.
Well,
I really
you might
don't.
be right.
I don't really.
Do you think that, Carla?
It's still much busier for us than
That's
it has
what that's the
been in
question I'm
winter
trying to
months.
ask.
Yes, it's still much busier now than it has been in normal winter months. Even though we saw a big influx in the spring summer market, and things are slowing down, they are still higher than normal.
Yeah. So I can't put specific properties on it, but we listed 2 properties, one in Wintergreen and one in right outside of Wintergreen, and they were substantial numbers. And we put them on Friday, and we had 6 contracts come in Wintergreen in Nelson County. Mm-hmm. How many weeks are we before Christmas? 2 weeks before Christmas. And I frankly
5 days.
Frankly did not expect to see that kind of
activity
in Nelson County. And I guess the question I was trying to ask, I just didn't do a good job of it, is this November, December compared to, say, 2018? Are we increasing, decreasing? Are you seeing the volume ticking up?
I think we are increasing. I do see some increase in that, year over year, obviously. We had, during the pandemic, we had a lot of business coming in from refinance transactions that were going on. A lot of that type of thing on top of the purchase sale market going on. So
what's your ratio, refinance versus purchase?
Right now, we are looking at maybe 15% refinances.
Yeah. So your majority is purchase.
Well, you saw refis drop, right, as rates are upticking.
Correct.
Okay. Do you expect that we'll get a last push for refis as the Fed has indicated rates are going to uptick a few times over 2022?
Probably so. Probably they will go down just a little bit, but keep it relative.
It's cheap
rates
money.
are still low.
Yeah, right.
Sure. So it's one of those things that we'll probably see some more trickle in. But again, during the pandemic, they just rose to a level that we were seeing 40% of our business coming in as refinances at one point.
That's substantial.
Yes. So, but when you had 200 and some transactions going on, that's a lot of refinances.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So Suzanne, the phone calls and the requests that you're getting from folks to look for rental property, right? What are they looking for now? Are they looking for, townhomes? Are they looking for apartments? Or are we keeping this trend where they want to be out in the country with a little bit of room and a little bit of internet? What's the primary, because we know this from a buyer's perspective, but what are renters looking for?
So single family is high.
Really?
Single family detached?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
standalone homes.
And if you have just one of those, for instance, we had one at the lake, I bet I had 35 people clamoring for that particular house.
At what price point? What price point? $2,000 a month?
No, like $1,650.
Okay, it's a good price point.
Yeah.
How many of your clients how many of the tenants, because your clients are the owners. Well, your clients are both the owners and the tenants. How many of the tenants are, man, I am priced out of the housing market and I need to rent for a little bit longer?
Absolutely.
Are they majority?
Yes, I would say they are, especially in this one single family home that we had. Because the winners of the home were tenants who had even been offered to purchase the home they were renting. The owner was selling, and they just said, we're just not ready. But so many are that. Owners are selling, tenants are searching for a place to live.
So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because not only is it difficult to find the rental unit, it's also difficult to find and we're all competing for the same product in the same home. Are you seeing, again, we don't have the crystal balls on set, but anything that you see coming up in 2022, 2023 that's going to help the inventory issue? I know there's a couple of big apartments that have been approved,
right,
which
there
we
is
talked about on
definitely
Friday.
New construction, yeah.
But is there anything out there, and what can we do to help it from your perspective?
Support new construction, zoning for that for sure. But what I wanted to step back just a quick moment to what we were talking about and the fact that not only is there a shortage of these single-family homes, but then when the tenants are ready to sign a lease, they're asking for 2- and 3-year leases so they have security. And that's something I've never seen before.
Well, the 2- and 3-year leases make sense for the tenant and the landlord and you. The tenant locks in the escalator. The landlord gets security with the lease, and you get security with having occupancy. If I was a tenant and I knew I had to be in an area for an extended period of time, I would try to go too. Because what's the standard escalator for your leases? Is it 4 or 5? Is it negotiable?
Yes, it's negotiable.
It's negotiable. Suzanne, LA Property Management has the leverage. Let's put it that way. Should we say that? She says yes. She says yes.
It's the antlers that make it.
Yeah, you have the leverage.
Definitely do.
Cameron Wells Marsh has given Karla some props. She says, so good to see you, Karla, online. And she's giving you the smiley face. Cameron, of course, of the fabulous Interstate family. We love the Interstate family here at I Love CVille and on Real Talk. And Karla, you're a very popular lady. So are you, Suzanne. Gary Eugene Osteen. You go, Karla, in all caps, right now on the feed. Ed Reardon, David Ballou, Haley Ballou. We have 4 states on the feed right now watching this program. Suzanne Riehl, you're getting some love as well on the show from Rebecca Malk, Mary Warden Good. And if you guys have questions, we will get to these questions, Keith, here in a matter of moments. Will Lister, welcome to the program.
Back on the rental end of it, where are you seeing now on down payment requirements? Typically, it's usually been like 1 month or 2 months. Are you starting to see?
Well, and security deposit.
Security deposit. What's the normal month of deposits that we have to give? I'm seeing in some
1 month's rent for the security deposit, and that's with qualifying folks. But because there is such demand, you're looking really only at the high qualifying folks. So it's just 1 month rent for the security deposit and first month's rent down payment.
So if I can't go up in a monthly payment, but I can add an extra month of
that's a good question.
Of security or an extra month up front. So in other words, to give you 3 months. Usually first month.
Does that have value?
Does that add value to?
Or do you want the higher monthly?
If a higher monthly is probably going to be better in the long run.
Yeah.
especially if there's competition.
This is a
We will go for
bananas
it.
market. Okay, I'm going to throw a crazy question in here, and you guys may. Everybody here is on the supply chain that we call real estate. Okay, we are so under inventoried in this market. It's obviously driving price increase because the demand is high and the supply is low. If we add the additional inventory to the market, what do we see the influence, and Karla, we'll start with you, of how that's going to have on price points, rental price points, escalations, waiting lists, and if the demand is still as robust as it is right now? What do you think, Karla?
It would be nice to see more inventory, obviously, and I think that will. I think you'll still see those bidding wars, those price wars.
You think so?
And those types of things. Yes, I do. One thing, and we don't have a lender on here, but and I don't pretend to be one, but I know that there are some products out there for someone finding a house that is everything is great about it, location, schools, everything, but the kitchen I want redone, and there are loan products out there. I think it may be a good thing to kind of promote those types of things as well, because you can have the kitchen that you want in the house where you like it, and so that might be a helpful type thing as far as bringing in some more ideas for the inventory that we have. But certainly more on the market would be better for everyone, buyers, sellers, everyone.
So I'm going to play off of that and give some more love out to ISC, Interstate Service Company.
Yes. Hi,
Cameron. And Suzanne, for your renovation
Love
work
you, Cameron.
on that stuff, you should reach out to Cameron. They can help you if you've got a client that wants to upgrade their kitchen. But I had a client this weekend, and I've always talked about this. There's 5 things in real estate, right? Location, price, features, conditions, and timing. And we are now looking at buying and renovating, and then I'm going to reach out to ISC and go ahead and have them come out and try to give us a quote on this, because that's where the market has moved at this point. And I'm glad that you brought this up, because there are loan products, and we're going to have Scott Morris on tomorrow with Ross Mortgage, and we'll talk to him about that there's loan products. Are you seeing a lot of closings like that with this recently?
I'm not, which is why I kind of brought it up.
Got it.
Good for you.
So, folks out there, this is a way that we can hopefully thread the needle, because we just have to figure out a way to increase this inventory. And if we can't get through this red tape and turning it into green tape and get new projects coming on and in the ground, this is the next step to look at.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add? You just stopped talking there.
I just stopped talking because my daughter Yvonne was texting me, telling me I'm doing a great job from Seattle.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great to hear.
Great.
So I'll throw this to Karla. So do you see, what kind of closings are you doing? Are you only doing refinances and home closings residential? Do you do commercial at all?
We do commercial.
Okay.
We specialize in the residential. It kind of is one of those things that we are, 99% of our business is residential. And obviously, a majority right now purchase sale transactions. And that's what we're seeing.
Do you see the market next year? We have 4 or 5 big firms coming to the market with new employees, and they're bringing outside people from Charlottesville into this market that need places to live. UVA has said they're going to hire more people, and UVA said there's going to admit more students than ever before.
Wow.
Are we going to see this market bananas like it was early 2021, or do you see it slowing and throttling a little bit?
Well, obviously, with more people, you're going to need more places to live. Hopefully that new construction kind of comes about. So I'm thinking that we're going to see that new construction finishing up, and to give those new people places to live here in Charlottesville. 2021,
I know exact numbers. Have you seen an uptick in new construction transactions from your side of the house?
Yes, we have, actually.
Yeah, that's typically been going on. If we could stay on closure title. So I just signed a contract. I'm a real estate agent. I just signed a contract yesterday. What's my first step with you?
Giving us a copy of the contract. I'm assuming you've already said, client, closure's great.
Of course
absolutely. Get us a copy of the contract, contact information for your folks. We then start the system with title searches and whatnot behind the scenes, which is one thing I'll have to say. If you look at our website, we do have the videos that are very basic information about what is title insurance, and I'll get to that in a second, but and then what those steps are. And it is pretty basic. There's a lot of work that goes in there behind the scenes that you don't see.
So let's talk about title insurance.
Okay.
Let's geek out a little bit.
That's right.
So why do I want title insurance?
Well, title insurance is probably one of the most
Critical.
misunderstood insurances out there, but
There you
it
go.
is critical. Lenders are going to require it to protect their interest in the property. If you're putting any money into the transaction, protect your interest as well. A couple of different types of policies you can get, and certainly you can find that information on my website or give me a call.
Nicely done.
Well done.
But yes, it's an important part of the transaction. You want to make sure that the title is transferred to the new owner properly.
How many of the transactions you're doing have title
Great
that
question.
is, I don't want to use the word questionable, but title that may have some red flags?
Yes.
How many?
Out of the last month, I would say about 20% of them had
Get
issues.
out.
Yes, and then it may be that the property's
Like a
been in the
mechanics
same family.
lien?
Not necessarily mechanics liens,
Okay.
maybe some judgments.
Okay.
Maybe that we've got deceased owners and the title's transferred to heirs and those types of things. Some tricky things with wills, those types of things. You just see some of that, and especially the more you do in more outlying areas, you see a little more of that, I think. But
Really?
yes.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't think the properties transfer as often as they do, in Charlottesville, in Albemarle County.
Would you say a more unsophisticated seller?
No, I wouldn't say
Okay.
that. I wouldn't say that. I would just say that it's maybe family-owned property in Nelson County or something along those lines. And, it just kind of trickles down through the heirs and...
And there's these deed restrictions that just stay there forever.
Correct.
Right? And these deed restrictions could be put on decades and decades ago that just don't go away, and sometimes they get buried and sometimes they get missed. This is why the owner component, and that's what I would love to get to. So there's basically title insurance is split into two pieces, right? One piece is going to protect the bank, right? The second piece is the owner's title insurance. And I will tell you, even with cash transactions, I have to talk buyers into please get owners
title insurance.
So why should I get owner's title? What's the example of that, or why should I get that to cover my
Okay.
ass?
There can be errors in tax records, errors in clerk's records. We do have a thorough search done of the property, follow search guidelines, but the best searcher in the world can't find something that's misindexed.
Sure.
It protects you from things like that. It protects you from missing errors. It protects you from so many different things, and that's one of the things on our website as well, from forgery and fraud. And if you've ever had a claim, while you don't see them very often because people do a great job in the title insurance industry, you don't see those types of things very often. When you do see them, they're very costly to resolve.
And so let's talk about that. So typically it's pretty inexpensive for owners title
Absolutely.
insurance, but it goes forever, right? It's a one and done. You pay it at the closing table, it's done. 10 years down the line, something happens, you call it, it gets fixed for $300, $400, $500, whatever it might be. How many of them have you seen over the years?
Claims?
Yeah.
We don't see very many. And again, I'll go back to that's the thorough job that is being done in our industry. But again, when you do, it's something that you don't want to be involved in. In your title insurance, you can call the claims department, follow the rules as far as submitting claims. If someone comes knocking on your door and say, "Wait, this was my great-great-grandfather's property," what happened? So you can do those types of things, and it gives you that peace of mind. It's a little different than your auto insurance, your home insurance. You pay it one time, and you're covered as long as you own the property, and sometimes even after you've sold the property. But you can put your property in a trust, for instance, and your policy is going to keep going. So it's, again, one-time premium, never have to pay it again, and you're covered as long as you own the property.
Thank you for getting that out there, because it's very misunderstood, and not to get owner's title insurance is, we all at this table advise folks to go ahead and do that.
The fabulous Suzanne Riehl has questions.
Yeah,
you
there
ready?
you go.
I'm ready.
Okay, so this is from Brian, who's watching in Crozet. How many of your tenants are looking for rentals in certain school districts?
I would say right now, because of the competition, that folks are, when they call me, already saying they have permission to travel over school district lines to keep their child for the remainder of the year, and then they'll move. It isn't so heavy that they're concerned about the school districts.
Okay. How about this from Kelsey Sherling? How many of your tenants are trepid about renewals and whether or not they're going to stay into the second year of a lease?
Right now, none. Everybody's staying.
Yeah? Just because there's nothing to buy.
Right.
That's
right.
fantastic.
So I can say right now, my experience is that everybody's staying 100%.
Do you, Keith, when you're dealing with your potential buyers, are they coming to you 3 months before the lease is over and saying, what do I do now?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, the answer is you want to come to us beginning of year number 2, if you're in that 2-year scenario, so you can start going through this process. The reality of it is, just like finding the apartment or the rental side of it, we have to go through about a substantial amount of turnover, a substantial amount of showings to kind of get there. So 3 months is minimum. I would suggest you start doing a little bit longer than that. And some of the conversation also with you, Suzanne, is at what point does some of your landlords want to sell, right? Are you having any of those discussions? Are they having a conversation about, okay, maybe it's now the time to put it on the market because I can get more for it? Are you having those type of conversations?
We did have some of those conversations this summer and lost maybe 3 or 4 properties in that light.
So they felt they can get more money from selling than the rental.
Yes, and they needed the cash.
And how many considered selling to their current tenant?
I think all of them.
Really?
Yes.
Just for a seamless transaction?
That's right.
Would
Yeah,
they- do
tenants were good, and they were happy with them, and yes.
Are the majority of those clean sales, bank financing? Are there any seller fi approaches? And also, are you scraping?
She just looked at me.
Are you scraping? Are you? I mean, hey, if you put them together, are you earning a commission on this? If you bring the tenant to the owner?
It's been discussed, and yes.
'Cause you should.
Yes.
Okay.
It has been discussed, but none of the tenants were able to purchase and therefore had to move out. And we tried to take good care of the tenant and replace their home
Understood.
for them.
Understood.
Yes,
I got the look
under
because
discussion.
ours was an owner-financed transaction.
You sold your tenant, your rental to your current tenant?
No, I had a client that we helped buy and sell, said, hey, would you be interested in buying this home for? And then we reached out to Suzanne and said, Suzanne, this is what we're going to do. Much can we rent this for? And I'll tell you, anybody out there looking to have a rental property management, when if you have 1 or 2 homes, you kind of think you can handle it yourself. And I'm going to look you dead in the face. The best decision we've ever made was just to hand this home over to you. I don't have to do anything. The client, if the tenant has a problem, they reach out to you. It gets fixed, and then I get this money put into our account every month, and it's just really seamless. When Suzanne calls me, then there's a real issue. Other than that, she takes care of everything. She set the price for the rental. She found the tenant.
Negotiated the lease.
And I felt kind of guilty because I'm so used to doing everything.
And walk by your house every day,
And-
making
and-
sure
well,
everything
there's that too.
You
but-
drive by the houses every day? Okay, all right. I was going to say,
no.
I think I need to get
No.
you managing my properties
my
here.
neighborhood. So,
Oh, you live close to him.
Yeah.
Okay, now I
To
got it.
that
I was like, oh my
property.
God, this woman's amazing here.
and
Actually,
I told him that I take very good care of it.
Danny Hastings says, "What's up, Miss America?"
oh, Miss America.
Giving you some props. I know Danny
inside
too.
joke.
I met
About to say,
Danny
is
at the
there
Villas at
something on your
Southern
bio
Ridge.
we missed?
Go Washington, by the way, Danny.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a diehard Cowboys fan.
He is,
Yeah.
definitely.
We're giving you a little zing. We love you, Danny Hastings, on the show. Marie Willis is giving you props. Kat Martin's giving you props. Heather Hayslip, that's kin to you, is giving you some props. Mallory
nice.
Sorrells. A lot of people coming in. Suzanne has more questions coming in. Should we fire away to Suzanne?
Let's do it.
Okay. What area of Charlottesville or Central Virginia has the most rentals available,
Ooh.
Suzanne?
Charlottesville City.
Charlottesville City?
Yeah,
Why do you think
that's
that
where
is?
I have most of them. Well, when I do have a rental in the outlying areas, it's scooped up right away.
Okay.
For instance, the one where I said we probably had 35 applicants, ready to dive in at the
So
lake.
that's their first-
Fluvanna is really
Yeah.
in need of more rentals.
Yeah, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on which side of the coin you'd like to look at it on
Right.
that end of it, it's going to be quite a while before inventory starts growing up. A couple of years anyway. There's another project coming on that hopefully by the end of next year will start bringing in about another 350 new construction homes. But other
But
than
why Charlottesville City?
UVA? I mean,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
is it
I mean,
that type?
we have just a lot available.
Okay. A lot
I
of
think-
availability?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the
We do,
question
that's it.
Jerry's trying to ask is why is that? Why is there more rentals
Probably
available?
the densest area of housing. Is that why?
I would definitely think so.
The greatest number of rooftops.
Yes.
I would think that people would want to live in Charlottesville City because of it's the epicenter of employment. You're saying that what you're seeing, more people don't mind living on the outskirts and commuting to Charlottesville.
I think that's very true. They really enjoy it. A lot of folks will call and say, what do you have outside of Charlottesville? Because I'd like to be in the country where it's a little more quiet.
And maybe remote working still.
Yes,
is-
yeah.
is lend into that.
And a real issue
Good call.
is also finding good internet. Because there
Well,
are some areas.
That's the new number one utility. That's how this
Yep.
all first conversation starts. The first conversation 3 months prior to or 6 months prior to is, okay, we now need to look someplace that has not just internet, not just broadband, but very specific upload and download
Download
speeds
speeds.
so that they can conduct business at home. Are you seeing some of the ones to stay on the Charlottesville? Are you seeing some of them like closer to bus lines or closer to some sort of form of public transportation, or it's just
We do have some rentals at Eagles Landing where they really love the fact that there's easy transportation. And so.
there's also a bus there?
Oh, there definitely is a
Yeah.
bus there.
Yeah.
I have some of the
Yeah.
villas at Southern
Oh,
Ridge
yeah.
right there. Eagles Landing is a unique proposition because a lot of those have their own bathrooms and their own bedrooms, and they lock at the door to the bedroom. They share the common area, but for instance, I'm looking at one that's a 4-bedroom, and it has basically 4 apartments within the apartment itself.
We have a short-term rental where we have traveling nurses in the
What's the price point you're getting for that? Can I ask you that?
$975.
A door.
Per bed?
A door.
Stop it.
No.
We totally renovated though.
And it's 4-bedroom?
Beautiful,
Wow.
absolutely beautiful. Inside.
You're getting $4,000 a month for this Eagles Landing spot? And all 4 bedrooms are full? Good
Excuse-
Lord.
They're
You
not-
wonder why there's new construction in the area?
They're knocking at the door.
Can you guys talk a little bit?
Fantastic.
I'm going to text Jonah.
That is amazing.
I'm trying to buy one at Eagles Landing.
What it, now,
Seriously,
now,
it is amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. And that spot is booming. Throw it to you. How difficult is it to close something in Eagles Landing in a warrantable situation, being at a condo complex here? Especially for investment property.
You mean non-warrantable?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Well, lending wise becomes an issue as far as those types of things go. So, but title wise, it's usually not issues as far as transferring those types of things in condo situations and
Well, where
whatnot.
that works is cash or seller financing.
Financing, correct.
Seller financing, where there isn't an actual lender.
Or retirement.
But again, coming up with
involvement.
solutions that are kind of
Yeah.
outside of that.
Do you do a lot of
retirement.
seller fi deals?
No,
No?
we don't.
Are they not that common?
We used to see a lot of them. Not so much anymore. But yes, a lot of times we're seeing a lot of cash deals right now. We're seeing a lot of cash deals. Certainly, the financed FHA. Some modular homes, those types of things, which can bring that price point in a little. So
the reason you're not seeing a lot of seller financing is
money is cheap.
The money is cheap.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get, right? The rules and regulations are much more stringent than they were before the time of great unpleasantness. But it's still easier to do that. You can put your cash, maybe not in the stock market today or last week.
Or this whole month.
Or this whole month.
Yeah.
But in theory, you can put it somewhere that it'll actually make a little bit more than 3%. Or 3.5%. I mean, we've Scott Morris helped us with a transaction over this weekend, and there's still money out there right above 3, available for that. It was a little bit of a substantial down payment. It was north of 20% down, but they got just a hair over. I think it's 3.1 or 3.2, something like that, just over 3%. So money is just so cheap right now to go ahead and do that. Where you used to see a lot of seller financing.
Commercial.
Is commercial,
yes.
Right? We're doing a transaction with that right now on a commercial transaction. But when the market starts taking a little bit of a dip and the rate starts going up, that's when Suzanne's client's going to say, "Hey, find me a cash seller finance deal, and we'll jump into it."
How did you find a $975 a month?
I think the show is going to end now. He's going to go buy one.
Short-term rental.
Well, no, I get it.
Yeah.
How did you
So
get the
3
pipeline of the traveling nurses? Is what I'm saying.
Furnished Finder.
Oh, you did at Furnished Finder? That right there, for the viewers and listeners watching that program, is
the reason.
Dude, watch this show for that right there. I did not know that. Okay, Furnished Finder. I got this question for both you guys. Albemarle County government is considering a property assessment increase of across the county of 8.32% across all of Albemarle.
Yeah.
In the district that I live in, it's 11.14%. Real property tax assessment increase in 2022. That's what they're considering. What do we think the impact that's going to have on the market and what you guys do? I mean, that's serious money. My
Yes.
taxes would go up if in that scenario. It would go up 370, just under $1,000 a year.
That's assuming the tax rate stays the same.
Correct, because
Yeah.
usually they.
Right. Which I would think it would, don't you think?
It depends, it depends on how the budget, we talked about this
With Nat Galloway.
numerous times. It depends on what the budget's going to be, but that 11% or 8% is substantial.
Substantial. It's the highest in Albemarle County history.
That's exactly right. Well, I mean, just to talk a little bit about Nassau Street, was a project that we did on that was with the Land Trust. We're selling our first unit over there. In 2 years, it increased in value $100,000. The appraised value by $100,000 in 2 years.
That's a little over a 34% increase in 2
Wow.
years.
Well, obviously, I think that's going to bring prices up.
Def.
Obviously, if you can support the value that way, obviously that's going to do that. But that goes up, interest rates go up, that type of thing, and are you stifling more than you're
100%.
doing?
I love you. Okay, I thank you for saying that. It's making it less affordable to live here.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's making the market more wealthy, which is the anti-affordable housing push that we're trying to do. What are your thoughts on this? And Kat Martin says you're representing the company incredibly well, and it's a fantastic place to work.
Oh,
she's
great,
saying.
great.
And Amy Wicks Horn is giving you some props as well, saying closure title is absolutely amazing. You're a popular lady.
Oh.
What do you think that an 8.3%, Suzanne, increase is ridiculous? 11.14% is obscene for my district here. What do you think that that's going to do?
Well, I've already had an owner call me because they've
Because
seen
of
that.
this?
I
Yes.
literally was going to ask that question.
Absolutely, and
He said he wanted to get. She said she wanted to get out.
No.
Okay.
No, she just says, how much are we raising the rent?
That's exactly right.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
we should
that's
emphasize that.
that's
And
literally
she lives in
the
North Carolina.
It's
and
passed
she's
to the
already
tenants.
in tune to this. That's
Are
right.
yours triple net? Not triple net leases? That's primarily commercial.
That's commercial.
Yeah.
That's
Triple
commercial.
net is
Okay.
tri-
Yeah.
Okay.
triple net
Okay.
is.
Well, my residentials are triple net. Just for a heads up.
But that's not normal, though.
Okay, I'm just saying. Well,
yeah,
I would encourage you to do triple net leases because I don't pay any of that stuff. I will throw this to you here. So, what did you tell to your owner?
Well, because it's just proposed at this point.
So wait and see?
That's right. It's
Well, it
wait and see,
depends on
but
what the
it's-
tax rate comes out. So you literally were going to get a conversation, so we might as well do it publicly in front of the whole world. So
Yeah, 4 states watching you guys.
our unit is then, and the lease is up, if I remember correctly, mid next year, if I remember it correctly. May. So what do you think? We think we should keep the rate the same, or should we? What should we increase?
Raise the
Or
rate.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to
raise
get
the
Suzanne.
rent. I probably
Okay,
already
so-
have a tenant for you, so.
Oh, really? Oh, jeez.
So
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 you won't let
she's
me
even
do
on that
anything. She
schedule.
won't let me do anything.
That's good.
It's horrible.
Allied Property Management.
Oh man, yeah. So I think what'll happen in reality, I think the conversation to have with your owner is they'll set budgets somewhere in the first month or two of 2022. The rates will start getting set. Everybody needs to kind of track it. But what Jerry is saying is spot on. So if they leave the rates alone, and
They're going to leave the rates alone. They're not going to drop the rate. Why would they drop the rate?
But do we know that for a fact? They could drop the rate because the budget is less, which is never going to happen.
Would a jurisdiction, from a common sense standpoint, drop a rate?
Yes, and that happens on a regular basis.
Oh, so should we put a little wager on this?
You don't have to put a wage on it because I have a young lady sitting to my right that could actually say, "Do you see the rates go up and down on a regular basis?"
I do see that. I do see that on a regular basis. However, when you're talking about budgets and meeting budgets, that's a different conversation.
Do you think they're going to drop the rate next year?
I'm not getting in the middle of you guys. I'm not doing it.
She's playing it safe. She's a smart lady. This makes for a great talk show fodder right here. Okay, people enjoy when we go back and forth like this. So do you have an instinct? Crystal ball. Give the lady the crystal.
Oh, my
you know
stars.
What? Crystal ball. Shoot up. You got your crystal ball too?
I'm working on my crystal
Okay, Karla's about to get the crystal ball over here. Close your title.
Okay, so
Suzanne Riehl as well.
So do I think they're gonna raise the values and the rate at the same time? I think.
You don't think the rates are the
Well-
same?
Well, Jerry.
Well, okay, so you're saying stay the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it does stay the same this year. Maybe it does. I think there'll be some backlash though.
I think there's going to be a lot of backlash. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Keith Smith, jump in here. Suzanne Riehl, jump in here. What are you thinking over here? She's ready for the crystal ball. Look at this.
Watching what's going on here.
This
I'm
is live
really
programming at its
distracted.
finest right here. Suzanne
and
Riehl's
the
got
director's
crystal
going
ball.
crazy. So there's your
Putting us
crystal
on the
ball.
spot.
We don't touch it because if you do, people yell at you. I just want to let you know.
I think I already touched it.
Oh yeah,
that a
there's
problem?
there's a rule. You're
We
not
have
supposed to-
viewers and listeners that are very passionate about us not touching the crystal ball. Okay, so Keith Smith, I like where this is going.
So we had a conversation with Jesse Rutherford
And Ned Galloway.
and Ned Galloway.
Yeah.
Jesse Rutherford sat in that seat. Jesse Rutherford is, I believe, the chairman of Nelson County, or soon to be, either one. And he made a commitment publicly that there was going to be what they call an equalization, right? So rates are going up, right? Assessed values are going up, and they're going to adjust the pennies or the cents or the dollars per 100, right? So those who are not used to looking at this, what happens is it's per 100, right? It's whatever the cents is per 100 or dollar or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they made a commitment to so that my tax dollars would stay flat year over year. I agree with Jerry, by the way.
Thank you. I knew you did.
I don't see how Albemarle County can adjust the tax rate too much. I think there will be an adjustment of it on that end of it. A lot of it depends upon the surplus they have and how much of that surplus they're allowed to move into the budget, right, to offset that end of it. But I mean, Fluvanna County, my home county, they constantly move those rates up and down.
This is why I don't think there's going to be an adjustment, because we're underschooled. We have to find tens of millions of dollars for new schools.
That's exactly
Mountain View Elementary is considering, and we're talking about this on the I Love CVille show at 12:30, is considered taking the 5th grade out of elementary and putting it into middle school because the school was so crowded. They have learning cottages,
Sure.
which are, you know what a learning cottage is at a school? It's a trailer.
Yeah.
It's a trailer.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what they have right now.
That's called salesmanship.
That's called brand management.
Yes.
That's what it's called. It's brand management. Kevin Higgins, we'll get to your questions. We have people are all over this topic right here about assessed value increases.
Yeah, so let's just jump in here for a second, just to make sure that everybody understands this. Albemarle County, the counties, all they get to do is put money into the school districts. They get to set a CIP, capital improvement plan, right? And how that's funded is what Jerry's talking about, is that how that's funded is pulled out of the tax rate to go into it. It's also funded by federal money and state money. There's a whole complicated formula to that. It's an interesting conversation to have, because if I'm selling a house to Jerry today, and his PITI is $1, right? And next year it's going to go up 11%. He's now paying $1.11 on that. That's going to impact everybody's budget pretty substantially.
Hugely.
Absolutely.
Pretty
Hugely.
substantially.
It's flying under the radar. All right, so a lot is coming in on this topic here. So this is a slight variation of this topic, but I'll get to all the questions and as many as we can here. Time is flying by. Kevin Higgins, what percent of home buying offers are cash offers in the city and county? Would rising interest rates have the same impact here as in other localities? And I'm going to add to this, Kevin, how are these increased assessed values going to change some of these transactions potentially?
So percentages, I'm just going to kind of
Shoot from the
off
hip.
that, but I would say maybe 8-9%. We don't see a whole lot in this immediate area of that. We do see some of those. Obviously, driving prices up when you can support the value of it with your assessment is going to be something, and something to watch. But rising interest rates with that is going to kind of crunch things a little bit. Again, we go back to affordability. Is that something people can afford and live and
Buy
run their
groceries?
household?
Yeah.
I mean,
Put gas in their car?
correct.
Very good. Throw this to you guys. Do we think that, man, I got so much coming in here on the increased rates here. Keith, why don't you, I know you got something ticking on that brain over here as I vet 13 questions on increased rates out here.
So in other words, do your job, Smith.
No, well, I'm going to get ready, ladies, for what's coming in here.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead over there, Smith.
Yeah. So look, the reality of it is, let's talk about how real estate agents can help with this, right? So we had an extremely busy weekend, my wife and I, from regular real estate transactions. But I must have had about 24 phone calls from clients that we recently sold in the last several years in Albemarle County. Did my house really go up this amount of money? Because they've got all their assessment values, right? So one of the things that the real estate agents that are watching that we can help, and while Jerry's going through his feeds over there, is I spent the whole weekend working on CMAs, right? Because you can contest this. So this is super important for folks out there that's listening, is you can appeal it. There's a process and there's a time. And this appeal, basically what happens is I do a CMA and Suzanne calls me up and says, we are actually going to do one on our property just to make sure that the tax rate matches it. But that's what we're literally going to do. We're going to look and we're going to say, well, hold it, time out. They got it right. Because these tax assessed increases are only desktop analysis. They don't go out and really dig into the property and figure out how, what the value is on it. And I actually ran our numbers and we're pretty close on what it went up. But in other cases, some of the ones I ran over the weekend, they did not. There was a substantial difference. So I gave them a report. I said, please.
To the high or to the low?
To the lower.
Okay.
To the lower. There was a substantial amount of homes in that area, that were, some of them went up $150,000. Some of them went up a huge amount, and it was closer to 75 or 100. It's a big number, but if they keep the tax rate again the same, this cash out of pocket is a little bit better. And I do this every year. This time of the year, our phone rings off the hook on this end of it. And I would say every time that we've ever provided Karla, with a CMA, you got your value reduced.
Mm-hmm.
How's the feed doing?
I thought that was fantastic.
Did I fake it out good enough for you?
No, you did it. You did a great job here.
But it's important for us to do that. It's important for us, and we talked about this in multiple shows. Everybody sitting here is a trusted advisor in the real estate chain of command, right? Or the food chain on that end of it. Reach out to the people that can help you. You know, one of the things we can do with the CMA, I can call Karla and say, look, is you really seeing this? All that kind of stuff. She can help me out. We can call up Suzanne and say, so what are you seeing in your world? And we can help put it together. But every person that we've ever helped got their assessment reduced. Ever. They don't say no. It's pretty hard to say no because the market is dictating what it's going.
So this is a question from an agent who asked for anonymity for Karla specifically.
Ooh.
Oh, you ready for this?
Ooh.
How many of the deals are you seeing in 2021 are cash over appraised value?
Ooh.
And I'll add to this,
Great
basically what the person's asking, and I'll put it in layman's terms for the viewers and listeners. The appraiser comes in and says the home is valued at this, and a bidding war could drive the price above appraised value. And a lot of times the lender is not going to lend to that amount that the bidding war took the number to, so the buyer has to bring cash to the table to make up the difference. How much of that are you seeing?
I have seen that, and I had not, up until this year, actually, seen big differences in that, and that the buyers were willing to add that additional cash to the transaction in order to get the home that they wanted. So we are seeing some of that going on where, lenders like, well, we'll only lend on 80% of this value type thing, and but you'll have to come up with the rest, and they are. And again, I think it goes to inventory too, finding that perfect house for you, and grabbing it while they can grab it.
The important thing, that has to be written in the deal. That has to be written in the contract.
I've seen that in contracts.
On the front end, it could become a bit squirrely if it's not, and you get at this closing table. Because let's face it, the closing process is not exactly like it used to be. It used to be 2 or 3 or 4 days before. Everybody kind of knew where things were going to land. Mm-hmm. This stuff, I have 3 closings today. And we're representing the seller on these things. And I don't even know, we haven't even seen the closing disclosures yet. And they're closing today.
And unfortunately, that's pretty typical, getting finalized figures,
That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Right.
But that goes back to the trusted advisor, that goes back to your team's ability to communicate. Because Suzanne, the buyer, is freaking out, or the seller is freaking out because we're closing today at noon and nobody knows what the math is yet because the bank hasn't sent it to Jerry, who's the underwriter, hasn't sent it to you. I don't see it as a realtor anymore. Oh no, by the way, thanks to COVID, I'm not at the closing table any longer. Right? So we can help the process through it. Literally what we do now, at least what Yona and I do, is we sit in the parking lot. I'd literally sit in the parking lot and wait for somebody. If there's a question, we call on that end of it. So those folks are out there, real estate agents and buyers and sellers going through this. Be a little kind and patient with your closers. They're trying to thread needles literally at the last minute multiple times.
Stephen Long and Culpepper, for both ladies, how many out-of-market buyers are you seeing purchase in Central Virginia and working from an ISP in their house?
Good question.
I would say in the last maybe 25 properties that we've added, I have 3.
Okay.
So that gives a statistic.
That's a good percentage.
Yeah.
How about you, Karla?
I wouldn't be.
Privy
I
to
wouldn't
that?
guess. They don't a lot of times talk about what they do for a living and where they're working out of. We don't get into that type of thing. But, we do see some people buying homes here that work in other states, work out of other states. So obviously that would be a remote type situation. So we do see some of that. And again, I think we've opened those doors to those abilities to be able to do those things. And so I think we'll see more of that.
So we also have magic wands.
Oh, magic wands.
Right. So if you had a
Bringing
magic,
it all out today.
if you had, we'll wait till we get the hats on.
He bought smoke machines. Really? No, seriously, smoke machines. He bought smoke machines for the show. More questions.
I bought 2 of them, and they have colors and all this stuff. We're going to have all kinds of fun on that stuff. So magic wand over the crystal ball. At some point in time,
Suzanne, would you like a magic wand?
oh, look at Suzanne.
Suzanne's
Ding,
got a magic
ding.
wand. Suzanne, I like you.
Oh, she's a lot of fun. At some point, Lord willing, COVID, we're going to get on the other side of this, right? Do you ever see us going back to in-persons, or we've now in-person closings with the full team, or have we set this up just like the conversation we're having about the buyers? Has this hybrid is now the new reality? Do you see at some point this is the new reality, or we're going to go back to the way we used to do things? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I see this as a new reality.
Yeah.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show. Okay, for the sake of a talk show,
Okay.
because you're the expert. I'm just a guy with a microphone here.
No.
At the beginning of COVID, the talk and the chatter amongst realtors was the open house was going to be a thing of no longer, a thing of the past. And the open house was going to be this phone walkthrough, virtual tour, Facebook Live type situation.
And what did
Open
that do?
houses are back now.
Open houses are back.
Open houses are back.
Not at the same rate as they used to be.
But they're still back.
But that actually has nothing to do with COVID. That has everything to do with they sell before you can get to an open house.
Right. Open houses are back now. We were talking in the beginning of 2020 that we were not going to do open houses. Do we think that, humans like to be around other people. And outside of marriage, this is the most complicated thing someone's going to do in their life is buying this darn home. It is complicated. And that's why we need you guys as trusted advisors. The in-person has advantages that virtual, the whole essence of the word virtual, Alex Erpy taught me this, was virtual is not as good. It's virtually as good. Virtual communication has its limitations.
It does. It does. Now, again, we're talking about a purchaser putting their eyes on a property and being able to walk through it themselves, get that feel type of thing. We still have that in our office. It's the behind-the-scenes work that is being done remotely. So I guess maybe I'm thinking about that type of thing. Communication still, the phone, answering the phone, whether you're in your office or whether you're in your home office, is going to be the same.
Do you guys need an office?
Yes,
Because you have to.
We do.
I have to, as the
perform
buyer, have to
closing.
go there and sign.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try the question a different way. How many of your transactions are you recording remotely? I think that's kind of the path I was going.
Much
right?
more now.
Right. So for those who don't understand the process or who are not familiar with the process, is prior to the pandemic, somebody would physically have to take a deed, drive it down to Albemarle County, record it, and do that. But right now, you have the ability to do that digitally. Is that not correct?
We do in several jurisdictions now. We can update title from their online
Which you
records.
could not have done in the past.
We could have done it. It was
More arduous.
Since we had to
Yeah.
go to the clerk's office, we updated it there.
Got it. Got it.
So now we can update the update title searches and e-record documents, which has made it a lot easier and in some cases a lot quicker, especially in the outlying areas that do that you don't have the windshield time to deal with. You've got people waiting for keys, and it can make it a lot quicker.
So
Wait till you see the metaverse take off, and eventually what we're going to happen, and this is going to happen a hell of a lot sooner than we all realize, we're going to put on, and we may not even need to put on the goggles, but we'll put on these goggles, and the clerk's office is going to be something that we see in our goggles from our desk right here. And we're going to be doing this like we're doing this tangibly in person, but we're going to be doing it while sitting down in a chair right here, and it's going to be freaking awesome. And the people that adapt to that are the ones that are going to be the huge winners in this world here. Go ahead, and we got more for Suzanne.
So for the realtors watching, right? How many of the 6 jurisdictions in the car footprint, Charlottesville, Albemarle, Fluvanna, Nelson, Greene, and Louisa,
Good question.
can you do digital recordation and title update?
Albemarle, Greene, Fluvanna.
City?
No.
So let's talk about that for a second, right? The complication of a city transaction. You now need to take somebody in the middle of COVID and go to the city to record a document and do that versus online.
Correct.
And don't you think NDS and don't you think
Well, there's no neighborhood services director right now.
and that's
the position's vacant.
That's literally the point I was trying to get to. You would think under managing the city government, I'm not being critical, but you think anything that you could do to streamline processes.
There's no city manager right now.
Yes.
Either.
I'm wearing my Captain Obvious
There's
socks.
no city manager. They're actually having a meeting on tonight
They're gonna
about
hire-
hiring a firm to be the city manager. This was recently done in Matthews County,
That's right.
and the firm was paid over $800,000 to manage the city.
I
from
don't
afar.
understand how that's going to work.
I don't either. So this is from Christopher Freeman for Suzanne. How many of your owners are leveraging the equity in their current properties or properties to buy more properties?
Ooh, great question.
I could say I have about 5 right now. who are
5 of
in it.
72?
Yes.
So we're talking.
Well, and it's not 72 owners, it's probably maybe 55 owners.
Okay, because
there's
some have multiple properties.
Right.
So 10%.
Yeah, because
Do you help them with that?
I do CMAs for them,
Okay.
yes, because they write to me weekly and say, looking at this property, tell me what you think we can get.
So walk through the viewers and listeners in very layman's perspective what these folks are doing.
So they're taking some of the rent money that they have. Some of them, actually, I know 2 are actually considering refining, getting money out of the first investment and putting that in as a deposit for the second one. Hopefully, they haven't succeeded yet, but that's their idea, so that they have 2 rental properties rather than just 1. And 2 incomes.
Should we go down this road?
You can, because that's literally the conversation we're going to have after the show.
Okay, I would caution you, my friend, of doing this. Very much caution you.
Go ahead.
If the rates go up and if the market hits the you-know-what, that's how people get underwater. That's how people start swimming.
Well, first of all, you have to look at each individual transaction and each individual property based on what we have in our rate with our seller financing. I can go out and get a mortgage that's substantially cheaper than what I currently have on seller finance. Seller finances are usually more expensive.
So basically what he's saying is he did a transaction with the owner of his property, did not involve the bank. He's paying percentage points above market value.
That's exactly right.
And he's going to go to a lender and refi, drop the payment, increase the monthly delta, and use that as leverage to buy something
And I'm
else.
going to come out with cash. I'm actually going to net more on
How does
the
Yona
monthly.
feel about that?
No,
How does Yona? Because I think that
Is
is.
she calling in?
Is
How
she-
does Yona
is
feel?
she
Yona,
watching?
be careful.
Is she watching?
Yeah, yes. She's all,
She now
watches
knows about it.
everything you do.
I know that, as she should.
Yeah, as she should,
As
because
she
that
should.
is ballsy. That is a slippery slope right there.
Okay.
You know I'm right about that. You know I'm right about that.
Yeah, something about living through the great time of unpleasantness.
So you put the CMA together. That's basically saying you're basically saying you put the business model together for your owner then can utilize that model,
Information
the
on a
information.
particular property.
So if
based
you
on.
were going to buy one at Eagles Landing, this is the unit I want to buy, because this is what Suzanne and I did, and I said, this is the unit I want to buy, this is what I think I'm going to pay, this is what I think my monthly payment's going to be. Give me an analysis of what I can rent this for, and in this case, per door on doing it. And I want to get to a question about the potential of second years coming on campus and what that might do to the rental market around that. But that's what Suzanne does for you. Is that what we're speaking
That's
of? Yeah.
exactly right.
And she's got that, and the math worked out great. We did an ROI together. Suzanne helps you with that on what the math is going to look like, and it really becomes a no-brainer. And then you just have crazy ideas about refinancing and taking money out and doing stuff like that.
Kelsey from McLean has a question for Karla. How many folks are purchasing investment properties in the Charlottesville area?
We do see investment property purchases in the Charlottesville area. I'm going to probably pull Elmore County and
Yeah.
that, and I would say we, out of a month of 200, we might see 5% of those 200. Again, pulling in all different types of transactions.
Yeah,
we're
that
seeing.
number's not as big as everybody thinks
No.
it is.
Where are those investment properties? Is it concentrated in areas like Wintergreen, or is it folks that want to enjoy the amenities of UVA, like a graduate who's moved elsewhere that's coming for basketball, football games,
I would say
restaurants?
more so here locally
Yeah.
than well, I don't mean non-locally, but the Nelson County out a little bit farther, but I would say
But you're
more
starting
so
to see
utilize
that, though.
locally.
You're starting to see this because the single-family detached home is such a demand on the rental market, and if you can acquire it, the problem becomes the acquisition of it is so expensive, right? Unless you're doing it in cash and you need to do it for tax reasons or 1031 exchange or something along those lines on that end. But if you're borrowing money against it and only putting X amount of down, you've got to do your CMA and say, okay, my mortgage and PITI is this, my rent is that. Is there enough delta between the two? So I don't think you're seeing a lot of straight out purchases and turning them into rentals because the purchases are so costly.
One of the things I love about the property managers is you guys are like your own micro MLS, where like you're having getting to know information before the information becomes readily available to everybody else. Like, are you hearing from other investors reaching out to you saying, hey, if any of your current owners are looking to sell, I'm interested in buying? Or do the homes that are your current owners, are they going to the market in a traditional fashion like the MLS? Or are they trading before they get to the MLS?
So are you asking, are they selling the owners
Before they
are
get to the
selling it?
MLS, yeah.
No, not so much.
No, they're going on the
they-
MLS?
They are.
Okay.
They are.
Okay.
So I think the question is
To
our
find the
property that
competition.
we manage, do you got anybody interested in buying it and at what price?
Why do you want to sell that?
I don't. I'm just trying to
Oh,
answer the
okay.
question.
Yes,
a different
yeah,
way.
no, I don't.
I don't. Don't get me into more trouble than I'm
Okay,
already
don't
in,
sell
Jerry.
that. Hold.
I could find a buyer very
No,
easily.
no, we're not doing that. We're just trying to ask the question a different way.
Leslie
Hey,
Mann.
ask Yona.
No,
Yeah,
not to ask
Yoda,
him.
what do you think? You want to jump in here, Yoda?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. It's 11:30. Bye-bye.
What with your owners? What year is there a set time that they're adding to their portfolio, buying more, or is it just if a deal comes up, they're opportunistic and they scoop it up?
The latter, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
They're opportunistic.
They're looking, so they're open to another investment, and they're ready to jump in.
Your antlers are wiggling, I'm just saying.
I like it. I love it. So you guys are fantastic, and you guys have handled this well. You see, it's pretty rapid fire here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Karla, again, you got your crystal ball, you've got your wand in front of you. How much sales increase are you projecting for 2022? How much more business do you think you're going to do in 2022?
That's a tough question.
Because if you think it's going to be this, then that means our side of it is going to increase. Does that make sense?
Or do you think it's going to decrease?
Or decrease? Yeah. great
I don't
question.
think
Yeah.
that it's going to decrease. I don't think that it's going to decrease. I think we're going to see more people looking at those assessed values that are coming in and want to capitalize on that.
Sure.
I think we're going to see a little increase. Percentage-wise, I would say, maybe we see 20% year over year.
Increase.
Increase.
Yeah. So,
At least.
I think, our crystal ball and my crystal ball is I don't think we're going to be in double-digit year-over-year assessed value increase, or market value increase. I think we're going to go back, and maybe not to the tail end of 2022, but I think at some point we're going to get back to normal, which is just 3 to 6%. And I know that you don't track the numbers as much as we do, but do you feel that a 3 to 6% year-over-year increase of value is more normal than it is? I mean, it's pretty much a rhetorical question, but
Yeah.
do you see that as the normal rate year-over-year?
It's
in your
healthy.
experience?
Look at the note I put on my phone.
I don't know.
Right on.
I'm thinking that
We need to talk about
I think we want to continue to see
Sure.
increases in those things, obviously, but will it? And I going into the pandemic, seeing increases in a pandemic, wasn't anticipating that.
So the reason I'm asking this question is you see so many more transactions
Yeah.
than anybody else at this thing, and that's the reason why I was super excited about having you here. I had a client who we just put a contract in on yesterday asked me the question, did I buy at the top of the market? Is it going down? And how would you answer that?
Wouldn't we
question?
all like to know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got the crystal ball.
Yeah, well, it's broke.
It's broke,
Mine's broken. I touched it and I wasn't supposed to.
Karla, you're good. That was funny.
There's
Little
ways,
deflection there,
That
sorry.
was so
there's
good.
ways to fix that, just so that you know. But, you know,
Because you're basically saying they're the baseline for your businesses are the baseline or the threshold or a KPI, a key performance indicator of where a lot of ways the market is going. Yours is 45 days in the rears, right?
Correct.
And yours is an indication of rooftop availability for purchasing.
So you guys are the canaries in the coal mine.
That's what I'm saying.
This is what we
They
want.
really are.
We want to watch, and that's the reason I was so excited about bringing both of you on today. And again, on that end of it is just to try to get, because we get these questions all the time. We devour data constantly. We read stuff all the time. So for those who, you know, I'm going to answer this question for myself. There's not a single economist out there that says that we're going to go backwards in value. We're just not going to have double-digit increase. We're going to go back to what everybody predicts to be more normal, which is just somewhere between 3 to 5%, 3 to 6%, depending on the area, which brings us back to Jerry's comment about the 11% and the 8% and the conversation we're having. So if the market is only going to increase next year at half that amount and we leave the rate alone, that even hurts us even further in the upcoming years.
Amen.
So this is very important to watch. This is very important to be involved in, because this is not just this year. This impacts years down the road.
I'll throw this to you. This has been a fantastic show right here. And you saw, Suzanne and I had a little joke going on here with Furnish Finder. I got it in my notes right here. How did you find out that there was a listing in Eagles Landing on the market, if it's not on the market on the MLS? Just out of curiosity.
What, for the owner who purchased it?
Well, because you said you were interested in purchasing one.
Oh, yeah. I don't, I
You're
know
playing
that.
the cards close to the vest right here.
No, I don't know that one is, I
Okay.
didn't know, because on the MLS, it says something like 6 of them
Right.
are under contract.
Right, that's what I was looking at.
Uh-huh.
So you went out to the ones under contract and say, hey, can I help you manage
No, I
these?
haven't done that yet.
That's what
no,
you should
I'm
be doing.
interested in purchasing
Oh,
myself.
got
She
it,
wants to
got
buy
it.
for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So
Yes.
the thing to do is
'Cause
called
it's a
farming,
great,
right? Start data mining the GIS, find out who the owners are, and start reaching out to them, which is on my notes to go do, so I can
Maybe
get
we
some
can work
listings.
together on
So I can get some listings and we can work together.
Karla, do you think that if the spring market has sprung now, do we think that Q2 will be even more gangbusters than now? Like, what is going to indicate that we're going to have more inventory? Do you have any indicators like that?
Well, I'd like to see the new construction, kind of get that type of thing get finished. But, you know, again, I think that you raise up assessed values. I think that makes people think about putting it on the market, whereas they may not have before. You know, make their house work for them.
That's
You
true.
know?
So I'm going to ask you to do something for me. We
Okay.
normally do on a Monday Market Monitor is we normally look a week over week. I think I'm going to ask you, if you don't mind, do you track month-over-month numbers? Right? And when you track your month-over-month numbers, their volume, dollar amounts, and all this stuff, I would, if I can get a copy of that, I would love to see that, because I would want to cross-reference your numbers to what I'm seeing on the MLS and see if there is, that we're tracking the same, or there's some
But hers are
differences.
45 days in the rears.
Correct.
So
See,
they
that's-
wouldn't mesh.
Right.
Don't you? I mean,
No,
right?
I'm not looking to compare it to the week over week. I'm just going to do like a whole different set of numbers that are 45 days old and see where we're tracking on the end of it. I just think it's a good data metrics to follow. Back to this canary in the coal mine. If you're starting to see slowdown or differences over 45 days versus my week to week, then I can start projecting that the market's changing or not changing.
How does stock market volatility impact
Ooh.
your businesses?
Oh.
Suzanne, doesn't impact your businesses? Like, is consumer confidence a lot of times associated with portfolio appreciation?
I can see it impacting Susan's tremendously because of
Suzanne's,
thank you. Is if your portfolio is not doing so good and you want to pull some money out to buy real estate because real estate's doing so good, that you might see a little bit.
Definitely a way that would be helpful if the market was not good.
Do you see that?
I cannot say that I've seen that, in this current downturn. Because people are still looking for investment properties, like across the board. So I can't see that anything has changed recently.
Are we just in this like super anomaly,
Yes.
insulated, protected bubble? I mean, how freaking fortunate are we to live here? That it's like we have this university and so much obscene wealth, probably wealth that we can't even like comprehend here, just driving the economy locally at clips that nationally it does not represent. Is that what's happening here?
I think it has for
Forever.
a very long time. It's insulated us against some of the smaller dips in things. It's insulated our area, and
It insulated us against the time of great unpleasantness because I have a 20-year spreadsheet that I keep running on that end of it. We took dips here, but nothing like what nationally happened. It is because, as Jerry said, we're somewhat insulated because we have this 20-ton elephant called UVA that's out there that's just pumping, the jobs and the economy and all that stuff. If we didn't have a UVA and if it was, a Coca-Cola bottling or some other widget company.
How about the headquarters for the train and rail? That wouldn't be too good for this area. Southwestern Virginia is a perfect example of that. Coal is a good example of that. With University of Virginia, we just have talent graduating from UVA. They spent their best 4 years of their life up to that point in Charlottesville. They get nostalgic about the fun that they had here, and then they want to move back here. I went to UVA, and I didn't want to leave because I thought it was such a great place to live. Then I'm like, I'm going to set up my shops and my businesses here, and that's what we did.
And UVA pivoting to this technology format, which really historically it has not done, right? Historically it was, engineering, doctors, lawyers, and all that kind of great stuff. But they're doing this, and Jerry can speak more about this in detail, but, they're moving into this technology. Norfolk is a prime example of that, which is one of the sites that UVA wants to put its affordable housing on, but code building is part of that. So you're starting to see this move towards a technology driven
Data science.
Thank you.
Throw this to you guys. 11:45 here. Where do you think? How about a final word for you, Karla, on this market and in Central Virginia and this economy? It sounds like you are so positive for what's in store for 2022.
Mm-hmm. I am. It's one of those things where you try to plan for things in the future, and so I want to see the inventory that as far as the prices. I know that can be the assessed values. They could be a double-edged sword to some people, but I think it does bring the value that we're needing, and maybe to open up some more doors, maybe to even bring on more inventory because now what they're building is worth more. I'm hopeful for a great spring and summer market. I'm hopeful for that, and we'll see how that unfolds.
Good call. Good take, Suzanne.
With all the new construction that's out there, we're hoping to get more owners and feel very positive about growing the business and being here in service to folks and providing full service management.
You feel blessed, don't you? 72?
I do. I feel very blessed.
I mean, she went, guys, when was the last time you were on the show?
Probably
65 days ago?
Early October, maybe.
A few months ago, yeah.
It was definitely like in the 40s, low 50s.
In Keith math, to almost double your units is
that is amazing.
Freaking
I like
awesome.
That. I like that very
Keith
much.
math, it's a very special kind of math.
Yeah.
Jerry, I'd like to ask Karla one last question. Can I do that?
Yes.
Did I win or lose the bet?
What was the bet?
You won the bet.
You had fun? Was it about having fun?
It's been fun.
You are very good at this setting. I'm sure you've heard this before. You're very likable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you've heard that before. People like you. You're very pleasant with your demeanor and approachable.
Thank you.
And I would think that's pretty important in something as complicated as Yeah, closings.
And,
yeah.
and hats off to our reindeer antlers off to you know, this is very complicated topics. You've made it approachable, understandable. Thank you. And when we get offset, I'll tell you what I want for my bet.
Okay, all right.
There's always a catch.
Yeah,
we should have shook on that beforehand.
Yeah. Oh, we got to shake on it, huh? Oh well.
Judah Whitcower is our director. These ladies are phenomenal. For those that are asking, multiple people are asking, where can I listen and watch the show in totality? We archive it online at ilovecville.com. Karla Waycaster is the operations manager at Closure Title and Settlement Company. Check them out online now, Closure Title and Settlement Company. And this lady is just a rock star, Suzanne Riehl of Allied Property Management. I mean, you have got the I's dotted and the T's crossed with your business. I am so impressed. Keith Smith, of course, of Yes Realty Partners. Phenomenal Monday Market Monitor.
Phenomenal. Looking forward. It's a great way to start our week. We're going to have a great show tomorrow with Scott Morris on. We're going to have a little bit of fun. Some of these hats and smoke machines may or may not work. I don't know. I've got to figure out how to operate them. So that may be more of a January thing. But, you know, hats off to you, man. Thank you for everything you do. Couldn't do this without you.
And J Dubs.
And J
Liza
Dubs.
the dog over there. Guys, this is the Monday Market Monitor on the I Love CVille Network.
She woke up.
I know, she did. We're back in 45 minutes, guys, to talk about something that hits close to your home. Development in the south side of Charlottesville and how that could be impacting infrastructure like schools and roads, with two parents from the parent-teacher organization of an elementary school in Southside Charlottesville. Thank you for joining us, guys. Markets are red right now, and we hope they recover here a few days before Christmas. We'll see you in 45 minutes. Take care. Nicely done, guys. Very nicely done.
See?